Okay, so my name is Julie. Thanks for, pulling my name first as always and kicking this off. And I am co-founder and editor of Green Philly, but my story tonight has nothing to do with that. So about 10 years ago in 2009, one of my best friends from childhood had moved to Japan and was teaching English for 2 years. I had never been to Japan. My dad had been once, and it was my friend invited me to go visit her. And I was really excited. I studied abroad, and I went to London when I was younger, but I had never really traveled by myself. So I'm ready to go to Japan by myself. I asked my friends. They said no. And my mom was like, I have someone who's going to go with you to Japan. I'm like, great. And she's like, it's me. So I go with my mom to Japan to visit my very good friend, Emily. And we start on the bottom island, basically, where no one spoke English. There was not, the English lettering. It's only kanji everywhere, which kanji is the symbols, if you are aware of Japanese language. So we are in a totally new world, and it was awesome. We're trying ramen from the place ramen was invented, or the place it's known for. We're going and seeing these castles that are so awesome, and we are loving Japan. But we have this really great guide who is living there and speaking the language and knew exactly where to show us. So we travel around, we go to the next island, we go to Hiroshima, which was definitely humbling and great in a lot of ways. It was a vibrant city. And we continue on. So my friend Emily has to go back to teaching. She only had about a week off of school. And we decided to continue on our own. So my mom has definitely traveled, but she is a little bit more passive. So as we're traveling, I had lived in London for 6 months, and really, even though I grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia, I dominated that subway system, like the tube over in London, I figured out what subways to take and just could figure out how to get from place A to A, B. Now we're in Japan, and I'm looking at our guidebooks. This is before everyone had smartphones on Google Maps and getting everything along. So I would plan out where we were going and mostly guide us to where we are. If you can see, I have a compass tattooed on my foot. It wasn't tattooed at that time, but I have a pretty decent sense of direction. I like to say I kind of need this to know where I'm going now as a joke when people ask me why I have it. But I was basically guiding us to where we could go in Japan. So my dad had been to one small town outside of Tokyo called Kamakura. And there's a giant Buddha there that's huge, and I really wanted to see this Buddha that my dad had seen when he was over there. So my mom and I go, I check this train schedule, we go to Kamakura, we see this ginormous, beautiful Buddha in Japan. Have a nice day, we have lunch, we have a full day touring, and then it's time to get back on the train to Tokyo. So get to the train station, and this time the train only is in kanji, so we can't read what it says, it's just these symbols. Mom's like, that's a train to go back to Tokyo. So I'm like, okay. So we get on the train, look around, and there's not really, it looks like there's a lot of Japanese people, but I'm not really sure. We're tourists, we don't really know where we are. So we're on the train, my mom and I are talking about our day, what we're gonna do for dinner, whatever. And this woman comes over to us. She goes, excuse me, where are you going? And we're like, we're going to Tokyo, And she goes, okay, that's great. This train doesn't go to Tokyo. It goes 45 minutes past Tokyo to another town. I can't remember at the time what it was. And she's like, well, the thing is, too, it's a commuter train. We're all on a tour group ourselves. So the train won't stop in Tokyo, it's just gonna keep on going. So my mom and I are on a foreign train in, Japan, and beforehand, I didn't really know the language, so at that time, once again, I didn't have Google or Siri or Apple. So I listened on CDs when I actually had a car, commuting to Malvern, and I knew 3 phrases. They were, good morning, ohayo gozaimasu, in case anyone knows Japanese. Can you speak English? I don't remember what it was. and thank you. Those are like the 3 words I knew. So, so once again, we're talking to this woman. She has to translate to someone else because there's not many people on this train that can even speak English. So Facepalm, we're on a train going past Tokyo. We don't know how we're gonna get back there. So she talks to someone who talks to someone who talks to the conductor of the train. And they're like, okay, we asked the conductor if they can make a special stop for you in Tokyo to drop you off. So we're like waiting to see, is the train going to stop? Or are we gonna have to like figure out where to go, whatever. So anyway, she comes back and she's like, excuse me, the train conductor is going to make a special stop. So we are walking, so it stops in Tokyo. We walk 5 car lengths of the train. So basically it's almost like, hey, we're the Americans who were lost this entire time. They make a special thing over the intercom in Japanese. And basically we walk, and there is one man who might have been inebriated, who also was getting off the train that stop, who should not have been on that train. But the nice thing is, after we had that facepalm moment, the woman, her name was Fujiko, we stayed in touch and sent emails for years and became friends. So it was something that was an initial facepalm, but it can also end up being a start of a beautiful friendship that's international. And a few years later, she came to America and visited my family and I in the Philadelphia area. So that's my facepalm turn up.